I thought I'd take a minute and just maybe it might be interesting to somebody walking through this part of this little door project I've been working on for the castle. I've already made 2 doors. Made a double set of doors. They're basically roughly 10 by 10. The doors are about a little under 5 feet wide per door, but the frames are, I think it's 124 by 120, somewhere around in there. But for those who do CNC work, I do a blending. I started my life in metalwork after a 20-year journey in equipment maintenance. I did that in the Navy. I did it at Nissan. So my background was heavily in repair, troubleshooting, electronics, welding, rebuilt engines, just the whole gamut of things that I've done in my first 20 years. And then the second, I've been doing this now, 27 years, 28 years, something like that, that I've been doing blacksmithing work. Started off more really doing a lot of traditional blacksmithing work, coal-fired forge, the whole 9 yards. As my business model has adjusted over the years, I do a lot of fabrication and blacksmithing blending. I do a lot of blending together of things, such as this project. Now, this project has a lot of fabrication, but let me show you what I'm doing and the reason I'm doing it the way I am, just so you kind of understand. These door frames, the client did not want these going. These are going, excuse me, out to Castle Gwen and Triune. The client did not want for lack of a better thing, a crossbar across the middle of the big doors, because they're going to be double layer wood inserted in these frames. So the way I needed to keep a way to keep these frames, because they're made out of the frame of the doors are made out of 2x4 tubing, 14 gauge tubing. So what I came up with was decided to put a gusset in each corner. And these are what the gussets look like. There's 2. I've got 8 here because there's 2 top, 2 bottom, like this. Let's see. Like this would be the bottom gusset of the door. That would be the top gusset of the door. And then the reverse, those 2 are would be on the other side of the door. Okay. But the way that I did these, when we first started the design, I just had a single. Let's see if I can find it. I just had this is my template, but minus the holes. The original one I did, I punched holes in the gusset and then blind welded from the back side a fleur-de-lis on here. Just imagine that doesn't have any holes in it. But we decided we want a little bit more pop on these, and since I already cut all these, we decided to cut another one. So I cut another one, and I went ahead and made some faux rivets. And I take these rivets. I've had a 5-gallon bucket of them. I probably used 2/3 of it. I bought a 5-gallon bucket of these at the scrapyard one time, and they have been perfect for real rivets and faux rivets. Just depends on what I'm doing. These are pretty large. They're about a 7/16 diameter here, with probably a, I don't know what that is, 5/8 head, something like that, 3/4. I can tell you exactly. Let's see. It's just, it's like 11/16 head. And what I do, I have a block of steel here that I bolt on to my workbench, and then I take a torch and I literally hammer these down. And when I hammer them down, they come out looking like that. Now, if I was sandwiching 2 pieces of steel together and wanted this big large rivet, I would cut it off. But what I have to do on these is I take them to my bandsaw over here. I put them in a pair of vice grips, and I literally will just cut them off to the length I need. And I don't want these to be very thick, so I'll cut them off about an 1/8 inch or slightly under. All I really need is enough of that rivet to go into the holes that are rivet holes. And what I normally do, now this one is not, I take a countersink, because this is my template. I take a countersink and I go in here and countersink all of the holes where the rivets are going to be. Here. So when I bring this up, it gives me a little countersink right there, which I don't have on this one, of course. And these, of course, are very short, so it gives me a good place to fill that rivet in and weld in, and then I grind them off flush. And because I had to do this in layers, because if we'd have started from this at the beginning, I'd just done these out of 1/4-inch plate, but sometimes just things don't go the way you plan, so it's okay. So what I did here is I just got through, what I did, I would put the rivets in here, which I did like that, grind the back side. I laid it on top of the existing, you can see there's 2 layers there, okay? I laid it on top of the existing fleur-de-lis, and then I have welded them on top. Then what I'll do, I'll take a grinder and grind that flush. This is all going to be sandblasted and powder coated, so it'll look good. But I do a lot of this in some of my work where I don't want welds. I don't want to see welds. I don't want welds to be focal point. So on these corner gussets, what I did, I punched holes. I use this is one of the best little tools in my shop. I have a relatively small shop, and I don't have a ton of tooling, but this little Metal Pro 4500 FS is a great little punch for me. Works great for what I do. It also has I have the one with a 12-inch shear and a 4-inch angle iron shear on there too. And I've also got notchers and things that go on that. But a little Metal Pro, tell you, for the money, for the value, you can't beat it. It's, to me, the best punch little metal worker on the market for the money. You can spend it to get this. To get anything else, it's almost twice as much minimum. So this is great for a small shop. It has been huge for me in my little shop. 2 or 3 things. That punch and that Grizzly bandsaw, which is wood and metal. I've never used it for wood hardly. It's got a 2-speed thing. Those 2 tools right there are just huge for me. I've got just a few other things. I've got a hand-built press that I use. Got a 20-inch brake on that. Just a little air over hydraulic that I built. And then another purchased machine I have is I have a Bailey roller. And I use it rolling gate tops and rings and different things like that, and it works really good. But I don't have an excess of machinery in my shop. I think the only other thing I have back here is I have a 4-foot 16-gauge brake. It's finger brake, but anyway. And in my blacksmith shop on the other, where I do the forging in the other room, there's a power hammer I built and a treadle hammer. So, but back here, this is basically what I have. So the reason I did these gussets, because I don't want this door, I didn't want that door to rack, to get out of square, and I needed a way to hold it in square. So these gussets are going on, and they get welded here on the surface, grind those smooth. And this is basically, this is 1/8-inch plate, 11, well, a little under, it's 11 gauge. But it's got enough, it's substantial enough for what I want to do. And then what I do is I flip the door over, I go on the back side and weld some little small welds underneath because this overlaps the square tubing. The square tubing sits on here, and this overlaps 1 inch onto the square tubing, and I put welds on the inside because that's all going to be covered up in wood. But anyway, I just thought I'd walk you through these little gussets. And you know, I have a CNC plasma machine, and that's what allows me to cut. I'll cut for other people, but 90% plus of what I do is for my own projects. So, you know, I don't borrow money on my business. I've never borrowed money on my business. And so having a machine, because I've paid cash for everything I have, and I'm a one-man shop, and it's taken me a long time to build up what I have. But because of that, I don't have to worry about running a machine, you know, 5 days a week to try to pay it off, which I know a lot of businesses do that, and that's fine. But I'm a one-man shop. I don't have any employees. And so my 5x10 plasma cam works great for me, does what I want to do, works perfect for jobs like this. So anyway, just a little food for thought, how I do this. Like I said, if I had to do it over again and we hadn't already had these other parts cut, I would have cut these out 1/4. I would have still punched the holes here, put the rivets in, but then I would have just punched the plate, weld them from the back side, and be a little bit cleaner. But this will look nice once it's all powder coated. And like I said, this was a change in the project. So you get changes in jobs, and as long as your client understands that, you know, there's an extra cost associated with the changes, and they're okay with it. I do proofs of things. I'll weld up something, let them come see it. This client will actually come out and look at them and approve it. And so yeah, just wanted to kind of shoot that out, little video out there, maybe show you what I'm doing and why I do it this particular way. And like everything that we do as blacksmiths, fabricators, whatever you want to call us, welders, I do a little bit of all of it. There's always 100 different ways to do it. I don't know if there's ever any one perfectly right way to do anything. I say you do what you do, try to do it well, try to make it look good. As long as your client is happy, then you can be comfortable in what you're doing as a business. I've read a lot of stuff and follow a few things on Facebook or YouTube. And one of the things I really get tired of is people who armchair quarterback other people's work all the time and are just totally negative. If you listen to that stuff, you'll never get anything done. And I have no room for it in my life. I'm not going to nitpick somebody else's work. That's their job, their clients. And if I can encourage somebody, I'll try to do that. But if you notice on a lot of posts, the first comment you'll see will be somebody lambasting or just running down another person's work. And I get it. Some people do different work at different levels, but if a person, especially if somebody's new in the business, you can say constructive things without being a jerk. So anyway, I think me personally as a Christian, my job is to encourage people and just try to do the best I can with what the Lord's placed before me as a business owner. So that's what I try to do. Anyway, y'all didn't mean to get preachy there. Y'all have a blessed rest of your week. Take care.